And we told you we'll have some great conversations related to the economy because it's all just the prelude to that great conversation that the Vice President will be having. Officially, it's called the Town Hall V10. It's going to take place at the College of Surgeons, just right here in Accra. And of course, Kojo Yankson is already there. But also, we started this whole conversation with some great insight into the impact of the CD having depreciated the last couple of weeks, also on imported duties, and the Ghana Union of Traders Association had been in the think of our affairs. So we have the Director of Public Affairs here before we link to Kojo Yankson. Joseph Paddy is here. Good morning to you, Mr. Paddy.
Good morning, and good morning to your viewers.
We also invited you here because we know that you will be represented at a town hall meeting.
Exactly.
But also you also have your concerns. But how does all this dovetail into some of the concerns you've been raising the last couple of weeks?
Right, well, thank you very much. Yes, it's something we've been calling for all this while because we believe that governance is a stakeholder collaboration. And if government is opening up its door for this stakeholder collaboration, it's a welcome news. So Guta has been invited. We'll be going this morning. We're going to hear what the Vice President has for us. But what some of the things we're expecting to hear is the announcement by the President by the reduction of the duty rate. Yes, we want to hear. He says soon. He says it's going to be 6 months, it's going to be 1 year. So we even believe that even today that announcement should go on. Today we'll be grateful. And then because we don't know to what extent are they going to reduce it. So we treading cautiously. We want to hear from them first how far and how much is going to reduce the duty, because this is one of the major concerns of traders. That is not helping businesses. Most businesses are folding up. They are going out of business as a result of this high duty rate. So we want to hear something from that. And then this morning too, I was hearing from you, we want to also hear something about the electricity. Now, there's too much speculation in the system. Everybody is saying something. We don't really know what is going on, whether it's doomsaw, whether it's short-term measures that's good, or whether it's an electrical problem, whether it's a technical issue. So everybody is speculating. And you know, most of our members in the informal sector use their electricity for their trade, those who sew, those who do welding. So it's a major challenge and a major concern. So this morning we want to know what is going on so that we can appreciate it and then maybe make an input. If they need our input, we can also make an input to it. So these are some of the things we expect to hear from the Vice President this morning.
Would you ask a question, or your association, would you ask a question if the opportunity is?
Yeah, if the opportunity is given, we'll ask a question. Yes.
Now just 2 days ago, we had some great interactions with SEPS officials at the port, etc. Let me just ask you this last question before we go to Kojo Yankson at the place. I'm told that import duties have not been increased. Now we're told that it's going to be reduced. How do you order that?
Yeah, it has not been increased. But what happens is that anytime the dollar appreciates, it affects, because you know we calculate our duties in dollar terms. So anytime dollar appreciates, duty goes up. The rate, but originally the duty rate is almost already high because we are paying between 51 to 63% duty rate. So assuming you brought a good item of about $10,000, you are paying about $6,100 as a duty rate, and that is not healthy. No business can go do business, a proper business, and even maximize or even break even with that rate. That is why we complained to the President, and then he also appreciated it. We made a proposal to the Council of State. They also appreciated it, and as a result of that, that's why we are seeing all this. So Guta must be applauded for all the work we've done.
It shows how a big force you are. But straight away, let's take you to the College of Physicians and Surgeons. And Kojo Yankson is talking to a special advisor in the office of the Vice President, Dr. Gideon Boako.
Physicians and surgeons, everybody is buzzing as they get ready for what is indeed a historic event. It's the first time that the economic management team is holding a town hall such as this, where they intend to address all of the questions on the minds of the people of Ghana. And when I say a flurry of activity, just take a look at what I'm talking about. All around me in this auditorium, you can see reserved seats where we're expecting all of the dignitaries to be seated. You can see TV stations and other media housings setting up to ensure that they can broadcast this event live from here to the rest of the world. There is so much more evidence of activity and preparation. Lights all over at the top gallery of the main auditorium at the College of Physicians and Surgeons. The police band is here. They're ready to deliver the national anthem and whatever else they may be called upon to do. And it is just a general hive of activity. Ushers are in. They are ready and prepared to make sure that everything moves smoothly throughout the execution of this event. There are several dignitaries who are expected to attend, and of course the whole point of this is for the economic management team to talk about the situation with our economy. They are working to the theme, our progress, our status, our future. And these, I suppose, are the three pillars upon which they are going to place the content of their delivery. Now, if you have a look behind me, right here on the stage, you will see how they've set it up with 8 chairs ready for the members of the economic management team, the vice president being the chair of that team, to be seated to field all of the issues that will come up. There's an audio-visual screen where all the statistics and figures that are needed to demonstrate and illustrate the points that are going to be made about the economy will be displayed. But if we want to know more about how this is all going to go down, there is one person who is best placed to help us understand, and that is Dr. Gideon Boako. Dr. Boako, of course, as you know, is a senior economic advisor to the Vice President. Dr. Boako, how nice to see you. It has been quite a while.
You forgot I'm the spokesperson to the Vice President.
Of course, the spokesperson for the Vice President. I think this is the closest we will get to getting into the mind of the Vice President this morning. Dr. Boako, this is an important event. Let's start with the why. Why is it important for the economic management team to address the nation?
Yeah, Kojo, thank you. You put it right. That indeed, this is the first time we've had economic management team of government going out to engage the Ghanaian public. The President, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and government believes that the power that they have to rule the country emanated from the people. And of course, if the people entrust you with their power to rule them, you have to be accountable to them. And as part of the accountability, you have to ensure transparency. And in deepening the democratic ethos and our governance structure, it is important to once in a while engage the people. How do you engage the people? You can engage the people by inviting them to your offices and your meetings to have deliberations on matters that border on the ordinary person. Then you can also engage the people by reaching out to them in a mass manner like we are doing. Remember during President Kufuor's time, he had what we call the People's Assembly. President Mills had the town hall meeting. I'm not too sure of what pertained during President Mohammed's time. This time around, it is not just the president going out to engage, but government and the president have taken a decision that we will reach out to the people, give them the opportunity for them to express their concerns and ask questions that have been lingering in their minds. And we are doing so through the Information Ministry. So the Ministry of Information announced 2 weeks ago that henceforth they're going to roll out a number of town hall meetings across various locations in the country, not just in Accra. And the first one is starting in Accra. And in the first town hall meeting under the auspices of the Ministry of Information, they are going to feature the economic management team. So this is the first town hall meeting. It will feature the economic management team. And so the economic management team does not want to be seen as some class of intelligentsia who only meet in their offices in the comfort of their air-conditioned rooms and take decisions for the people. Because indeed, decision-making for the betterment and understanding of the people should be under the bottom-up approach rather than the top-down approach. So what the economic management team is trying to do is to reach out to the people, give the Ghanaian people the sense of inclusiveness in the governance structure. So this is part of deepening inclusive governance. Let the people feel part of the decision-making body of government. Is it that government just sits up and takes decision that will reduce taxes here or increase taxes here without factoring in the views of the people? No. Let me also state that this economic management team meets every Tuesday at the office of the Vice President, and in their daily deliberations, depending on the issues at stake, they invite several and different individuals and stakeholders. I can say for certainty that agencies like the AGI have been to the economic management team. We've had the economic management team featuring or inviting people like Guta people. They have invited the Bosokai people, Kumasi Magazine people have been there. The Makola women have also been to the economic management team. And you know, they don't fit straight rules for anybody. Some of them come with their work attire to sit at the economic management team, to have discussions, especially when the issues of the ports and paperless came upon. All manner of groups were invited to the economic management team, and they sit for hours to deliberate on the issues. At the end of the day, they dissect and go deeper into the issues, factoring in the opinion of the ordinary person. But such meetings are always limited to a certain number of people because the conference room or wherever they have the meetings cannot accommodate a larger number. So this time around, it is reaching out to the broader society. Let the broader society have a hearing so that they will feel part of the governance structure of this particular administration. That is basically the idea behind this.
That's interesting. So what can you tell us about the format? How will the event unfold?
Yes, so the format is going to be straightforward. I've had some expressing the view and thinking that this is going to be like the normal lectures that the Vice President used to do when he was in opposition. No, it's not going to be the same thing. Those days, you will speak and there is no even opportunity for feedback. There's no feedback for people to ask questions and then have the questions answered. Now, this time around, what is going to happen is that the Vice President may speak briefly in his opening statement for like 30 to 40 minutes. And then about 70% of the time is going to be devoted for question and answers. So we're going to have 3 hours, 10 to 1 o'clock. The Vice President speaks for like 30 to 40 minutes. Then after that, all the 8 members of the economic management team will sit up here. And then the audience will have the chance to ask questions. And depending on which area the question is, the Vice President may refer to the Minister for Trade to answer. If it is on energy, he may refer to the Minister for Energy to answer.
These are all members of the
economic management team. The senior minister, who is the vice chair of the economic management team, is there. The Minister for Planning, Professor Jambafo, is there. Dr. Koto is also there, and all of that. So it depends on how and where the questions should go. And the Vice President also have time to answer. Of course, when questions on exchange rate come, the Vice President will have to answer these questions. So there's no argument about that. And so it's going to be quite interactive. We want it to be as much as possible interactive. We don't want it to be like government pushing his or her ideas onto the people, but giving the people a chance to also express their views, ask the questions that bother them on a daily basis, and government will find answers to those questions.
Now, no doubt, the exchange rate, which is an example you just gave, will come up. What else can we expect the Vice President to touch on in his address?
So in the 30 to 40 minutes address of the Vice President, of course, I cannot preempt what is in his mind and what he's going to talk about. And I don't want to behave like an insider trader. But I can tell you that, yes, he will touch on the exchange rate. No doubt about that. He will touch on the exchange rate. He will talk about general finances of government and some other few issues. And you see, because this is also under the theme, our progress, our status, our future, there's a need for the Vice President to take Ghanaians back to the reminiscence of where the economy was when this government took over, and then also give the situational report as it is, and then some forward-looking measures. And so in all of that, he may talk about the exchange rate, talk about the situation of the economy as it was inherited, because it is only when you have a perfect memory of the past that we can make a fair judgment of today to see whether you are doing good or you're not doing good. And then juxtapose that with the efforts government has made so far, and then the way forward. But of course, if you sample views of Ghanaians on what are issues concerning them and the harshest matter and all of that, at the heart of that, I think, is also the port issues and the import duties. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Vice President, in his brief address, talks about the ports and import duties.
The President actually made a promise that very soon we'll be seeing some reductions. So if the Vice President is to touch on it, is that something we could expect him to mention?
Yeah, so it's possible he will talk about the port duties, but as to exactly what he's going to say, let's leave that one to him. It is a secret, and then he will. But I am sure that there will be some good announcements for the people of Ghana, and I'm sure the Vice President will say something that will really touch the hearts of people, that will really go to alleviating the hardships and the sufferings of the people. Already, without seeking to say government has done so well, government has done some effort, put in some effort to really lessen the burden and the pressures and the hardships on Ghanaians. But of course, like all human beings, we cannot have 100% efficiency all the time. There are still gaps to be filled. There are still rooms to cover. But I know that with what government has done and what may possibly come from the Vice President's statements by way of government policy to lessen the burden of Ghanaians, at the end of the day, I'm sure Ghanaians will appreciate the content.
Now, I want to ask you this. On my way here, I was looking on social media. There are lots of advertising posts about today's event, and people are commenting under these posts. And I noticed one particular theme. A few people are asking about the timing of this, and they're saying, so why has the economic management team decided to come and talk to Ghanaians at this time? For months, Ghanaians were asking questions when the currency was having some difficulty. The Ghanaians were asking questions. They didn't get answers then. Why now?
Yeah, I mean, I will give you some. When I was at senior high school, my headmaster then, his pass on, Mr. Nyaduadu, used to tell us something. Be at the right place, at the right time, and do the right thing. Timing is always of essence, particularly in terms of official communication from governments. You have to time it very well and not try to, in Akan language, they say that don't try to let everybody know you are doing something in the midst of the storm. In the midst of the storm, you got to be calm and devise strategies to surmount the storm. And then when you are stable, then you can begin to preach to the congregation. And so this economic management team and government did not want to behave as we saw in the past, when there was sharp depreciation of the currency and there were all kinds of reasons ascribed. It is due to dwarfs, it is due to high-rise buildings, it is due to some demons and all of that.
Recently we heard it was due to churches.
No, that is not official communication from government. That did not actually solve the problem. When this particular recent blips on the currency happened, even though it was marginal, not as the 31% depreciation we saw some time ago, but around 5% or so, government resigned to the faith that let us be calm, let us try to identify what the root and the proximate causes, and let us find a solution to it. And when we are done and solve the problem, we can go and explain matters to the Ghanaian people. It is not about talk show. Ghanaians don't want to see talk show in the midst of the problems. They want to see practical solutions and see the issue resolved. And thankfully, every Ghanaian can attest to the fact that the sharp blips that we saw on the exchange rate market, it was reversed. That is quite remarkable because...
Should we be concerned that it's creeping up again?
I'm coming. All along, you will see that things depreciate, and the only thing government can do is to stabilize it at that point, and the next time it keeps increasing from that. But this time around, it was not just stabilized. There was some reversal, and so government had to wait. And I also, from what I know, that this was planned to happen today because yesterday was the official day that the IMF program was signed off.
Right.
So the issue is post-IMF, what next? Because the IMF program comes with its own conditionalities and issues. It comes with a straitjacket for you to fit in, whether or not you have increased in size or you have decreased in size. So after the IMF program, so much is at stake for the country. So it is also prudent for government to come out to let Ghanaians know what actually transpired, what was the proximate cause and the root cause of the sudden blips that we saw, and why was there a reverse. And I can show you today that the Vice President is going to tell Ghanaians what actually happened to the currency somewhere early March to middle of March, and what actually happened, what magic. I'm told some people say it was juju the Vice President went to take from India. It was not any juju. Government knew exactly what was the problem. We felt the timing was wrong to communicate to Ghanaians at that time what was the problem, and we had to devise means to solving it. And after solving it, we come to Ghanaians and let them know. So today the Vice President will let every Ghanaian know. I heard a lot of commentary on it that it was due to this, it was due to that. I told a lot of my professor friends and academic friends that, look guys, if you are not in government, you may speculate that these are the reasons, because there is an information you are not privy to. And today, the Vice President will tell every Ghanaian what was the proximate cause for the recent depreciation that we saw in February to March, and why there was that kind of reversal. It was only government and maybe some other institution, international institution, that knew, but all other persons didn't know. But the Vice President will explain today, and that is why, because we knew, and we knew when it was going to subside, that is why the Finance Minister was bold to come out to say that in 2 weeks' time, the whole thing will be settled. And lo and behold, in 2 weeks, the matter settled. It shows the level of competence on the part of this government and the economic management team, because there is one thing having the problem, and there's another having the competence to diagnose, to know what the cause is, and you don't ascribe it to jobs and all of that. If you do that, you have lost the control. It means you don't actually know what happened. But because we knew what was happening, and because we knew the measures we were putting in place and why it would be solved, we were able to predict that in 2 weeks' time it will subside. I've seen people say that our Bank of Ghana injected $700 million. I can tell you frankly that that is a big lie. Bank of Ghana did not inject a cent into the exchange rate market. And so the recent appreciation that we saw is not as a result of capital injection onto the exchange rate market. Whoever came with that information really got it wrong. And today, I am very sure the Vice President will touch on that the recent appreciation of the cedi that we have seen is not, and I repeat, it's not as a result of the Bank of Ghana injecting $700 million or $800 million into the forex market. That is not true. There is something fundamental that government did, and that was due to the competence of government to settle that particular problem.
I've got to tell you, after hearing that, I cannot wait to hear the Vice President's delivery, and of course what the economic management team will have to say by way of interaction with the people of Ghana today. Dr. Gideon Boakong, I can't thank you enough for your time.
Always a pleasure to see you.
Always a pleasure.
And thank you so much.
Well, there you go. So we're counting down now to the big event. It won't take long. The Vice President will be right here, standing at that dais right behind me, addressing the nation, answering questions. And if we are to believe Dr. Gideon Boakong, then he plans to vindicate himself of all the criticism to which he has only given silence as a response so far.
To that great conversation that we expect all the Vice President, and we know that that event is going to be convened from 10 a.m. The Vice President, and just beside him, members of Government Economic Management Team. And all the trepidations you have could be resolved this morning. All the concerns would also be answered.